Go Big Red indeed. No Block, No Rock. Season 2, episode 32.
32.
Before we get into this guest interview that we've got with an O-lineman, let's get into our sponsor, Nebraska Brewing Company. We are in their tap room right now, 108th and Harrison in La Vista, Nebraska. I can say for myself that I am drinking what is called the Shake and Bake IPA. And just reading a description here, it is a milkshake IPA with orange, vanilla, and lactose. And guys, I don't know about you. I think Kyle's got it over here.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty freaking good.
Well, just to capitalize on what I said last week, for those of you who missed our episode, go back and listen. But anyways, Shake and Bake IPA, that's called the Training Bra IPA for those non-beer drinkers like myself. Those ones that don't want to drink those IPAs and get your full-blown ponytails. So, yeah, I drank it last week. It was surprisingly amazing.
Yep,
I had to drink it this week.
People like Mike that are like, I hate drinking pine cones.
No, it's grass. I don't like to drink grass. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's got that orange and vanilla flavor. It's so smooth.
And Connor was so quick to grab that Taco Vesa handle for me. And I was like, well, wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hold the phone.
What are we assuming?
That Shake and Bake was pretty good, so that's what I'm drinking too.
Yeah, you led the pack, and then we all got Shake and Bake IPA, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so guys, please come to their tap room. Like I said, 108th and Harrison in La Vista, Nebraska. It is on tap, their Shake and Bake, and it is also canned. So if you go to your local Hy-Vee in Omaha, it's going to be there. So please buy that.
Do you guys have a Hy-Vee in Aurora?
Yes.
Look at that.
No, we don't. It's like
Look at that.
4,000 people, dude.
I don't know. I was just
Right now
asking.
in Nebraska, there's a Hy-Vee.
Oh, okay.
So we'll get
Actually,
it going there.
you know what the better question is? I know we're getting a little off track. Casey's? Do you have a Casey's there?
They
Of
do.
course they got.
Oh, they
freaking
definitely have a
Dude,
Casey's.
Casey's has the best. This is off topic.
No.
Casey's has the best pizza.
Dude, I was gonna get Casey's pizza today,
In
but I was like,
Nebraska.
he's driving 2 hours. I gotta get him a sandwich. So
Yeah,
and-
it was good too. Though.
yeah,
Not as
sorry.
good as Casey's though.
Hey,
All right.
so on
Now I know.
So on topic, should they replace Valentino's with Casey's Pizza in Memorial Stadium? With all these changes being made, it's like, get you
That
thinking.
is tough.
Get a little. Hey, 11 a.m. kickoff, breakfast pizza.
I would say
Just go
go
with
with
it.
it. 100%.
Okay.
Well,
Casey's.
at least if they're gonna change the pizza, at least add more than one flavor. That's my thing. Like, not everybody likes hamburger pizza. I don't discriminate.
I'm good with it. Like I like it.
I like it.
Mhm.
But come on now.
Throw me a pepperoni once in a while.
Oh, the pepperoni king over here. we were gonna get a pizza at the bowling alley for Dylan Utter's event, and Kyle's like, well, his wife's like, can we get something else? And he's like, no, I want pepperoni. So that was the option. We just got pepperoni. I think you got up to like 3 toppings. No, just pepperoni.
Just pepperoni.
Like 3 times the pepperoni.
And change Pepsi to Coke at Memorial Stadium too.
Yeah, that's
But-
how you win natties.
Dude, that's bold, dude.
Ever since
Dude, we
ever
had
since they switched to Pepsi, it's all gone downhill. Downhill.
What year?
I think it was literally
Like-
I think it was after 97, I think.
Yeah.
It was right around there.
I
but-
mean,
I mean, they
and
didn't
now
suck.
we have brown-haired Herbie. Come on.
Now, yeah, we have like a cowboy creepy You ever seen him without his hat on?
Terrifying.
It's what are you doing? It's nightmare fuel. But okay, so he's in the episode. We talked about Dylan Utter. Nice segue. Former offensive lineman, starter, Andrew Rodriguez. Thank you so much for coming on the No Block, No Rock podcast.
Hey, boys.
Hey.
boys.
Hey. How's
it going?
Hey, boys. That's what Jake Cotton used to do back when we
Hey,
were playing.
boys.
Hey, boys.
Why? Why did he do that?
He is the most lovable, creepiest guy you ever meet in your life.
That's a fine line, isn't it?
You got to get him on the podcast, dude.
Hey,
He's so awesome.
you make that happen, and Jake Cotton will be here in a minute's notice.
That's
Guaranteed.
Boss. Let's go.
All right.
That you got to put in a good word for us, man.
We
Yeah.
will.
Okay. So before we get like really deep into this, so we've had Sam Hahn on, we've had Tanner Farmer on, we've had Dylan Utter on, and now we have you, all offensive linemen. And I just want to get this out of the way. Our offensive linemen, in fact, although they are the hog mollies, the smartest players on the field. Is this true?
In most cases, I would say yes.
What about in your case?
not in my case, no.
Why do you say that?
I mean, where do you want to start?
Well, not your ACT score. I don't care about that.
Yeah, before the podcast, we were saying I got a 15 on my ACT score. I think you get like a 13 for signing your name on it. Is that true?
Listen, so I just had to give out ACTs a few weeks ago, and listen, that's a pain in the butt, man.
It is, dude.
Because you have to put your address and you got to fill in the bubbles.
Too much. For what? For what? I'm
I
playing
know.
football, dude. No, but you learn that. I mean, yeah. As far as a playbook, though, I'm not the smartest person. There are times when we're playing, dude, that Spencer Long would get so mad at me for not knowing what I'm doing. Excuse my language, but he would be, Andy, what the fuck are you doing? Let's go. I'm just like, I don't
And
know.
you-
I'm just
you would
scrambling
go-
all over. I don't know. I just look at what they're doing. I just try to do the best that I can. It's like the first 2 years of my career.
How did you know when to poll?
I would ask if I didn't know. That's one thing that you guys would get to know me. Like I'm an open book. I mean, like if I don't know, I'm gonna ask.
Mhm.
But that was my problem. Like I was too prideful just to reach out. Like, hey, or too lazy to just be like, hey, put the extra hour in the film room. I mean, I'll just ask them in the field, and that's what they're pissed off. I wasn't prepared. I was never prepared. And later on down the road, I mean, I got better.
Yeah.
But those first couple years were definitely some growing pains for sure.
So what does that look like? Like you've got the opponent, you've got dudes lined up in front of you, and you're like nudging them, like, yo, what am I supposed to do here?
It's not all the time. It wasn't all the time.
Okay.
But it was like there were certain plays, especially on defense, where I didn't know what they were doing. Like when you look at Jeremiah talk,
Searles.
Jeremiah Searles, shout out to Jeremiah. No free shout outs?
No,
we
we
do.
give
Oh, you
all
do
the
free
free shout outs.
shout-outs?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dude, Jeremiah's his mind is incredible. Like Spencer Long, those guys are so smart to where they understood what was going to happen before it happened on the defensive end. I wasn't there. So like they would help me out on that end. Like if we had a pick and pop or something defensively or a linebacker or some type of blitz, like they would relate to me because they knew that I wasn't as I wasn't
Smart.
that
You
smart.
weren't there.
I wasn't there. Yeah, I wasn't there.
You just didn't study your playbook.
Yeah.
You seem like a smart guy sitting next to me. So
Okay.
you got to give yourself the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe it wasn't passion though too, because I was never passionate to play. Dude, I don't like hitting people. Like,
Huh.
I don't like hitting.
Okay.
You're just
Okay.
built to play football.
Like,
Like,
I was just built to play football.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're
Well, that-
6'6". I mean, in your sweet video that we dropped on Twitter, I mean, you were
About
built.
360.
Yeah, 360
365.
pounds. I mean, now I'm looking at you. I'm like,
You are not tree fitty anymore.
No,
yeah,
no,
you ain't
about
even
290.
close.
290.
Still playing weight, probably.
You'd be good.
So that actually brings up something we've been talking about recently with Xavier Betts, who is a wide receiver that just recently like left for spring break and then he just never came back. And one of the things that has kind of come out between the people that are kind of close to the program is just like, you know, he's not 100% football. Like he's more of like, I'd rather you know my name because of the person I am rather than what I'm doing on the football field. And so you saying that now, that kind of brings it all together. We've kind of been talking about that the last couple weeks, and now you're saying it, and it's, you know, it kind of makes sense.
So
Yeah,
would you say you
100%.
didn't love football? Like you were just like good at it because you're a big guy?
It was just the opportunity that the blessing was there for a scholarship.
Okay.
And I mean, you guys, my backstory just goes so far, but like, I mean, my family didn't go to college. So like, I got a scholarship from Nebraska. I didn't even go check out other schools. I was getting looked at from other schools, but I didn't know any difference. I just committed to Nebraska, and then that was it. I mean, as far as like I loved it in high school a little bit. I mean, but it's all brotherhood. I mean, I love all those guys. You know, I could pick up the phone today and call Spencer, and it's just like playing football with him like last Saturday. You know, so like the relationships stay, but I've never had the passion or love to physically hit someone.
Right.
Now, like the passion that I did have was the competitiveness, like as far as like the technicality of the sport. So like footwork, zone footwork, or pulling, like I wanted to be the best in that aspect of the game. So like if Spencer Long, he was like the best puller you can have at Nebraska at that time. Like I wanted to be better than him. And they like, that's the only thing that compelled me to just play and have fun with it. Other than that, I didn't care for it at all.
So kind of like an art form, if you will. Like
Yeah,
you wanted to be
yeah.
kind of be like the Picasso of,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
So did you
I was
like
finesse.
you kind of
finesse. Okay.
you kind of enjoyed like the work and like the philosophy behind it, and then when it came time to like put somebody in front of you, you're like, well, like this is whatever.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, like, yeah, it's weird, dude. It's a love hate. I'm sure everyone like hated practice. Like,
Right.
no one really likes practice, especially if you're going against like Jack Gangwish, who's going 120%
Yeah.
when he's a freshman, and you're like in his Thursday walkthroughs with like no pads on. Like, bro, chill.
Dude,
Just,
yeah.
But those are the type of guys that go to the league. If he had like my physical ability,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
that's the thing that hurts me. It's like, because I had family that like always question like, why didn't I pursue? Even Spencer's like, dude, it's just a couple years in the league, but it's like I just never had like it just made me sick, really, just thinking about maybe it was the work that had to go into it, knowing
Yeah.
oh dude, I have to study the playbook now, like, it's gonna get real but I never had the desire to
And
play.
that's kind of a different narrative that we normally hear. Is usually if you're going to play offensive line, especially in a league like the Big Ten, like you got to have a nasty streak to you. You got to be a little, like, especially when you look at
I
old
had a
school
nasty
Nebraska.
streak. I had a nasty streak
Okay.
to me.
Talk about that a little
no,
bit.
I'm just a different dude. Like, I don't know. You'd have to talk to the guys. Like, I'm just different, man. Like, I had everything. I mean, if you look at a resume for a football player, Chris Giddings was my agent, Jeremiah Searle's agent.
Okay.
I believe. I'm not sure, but like before I just quit and told him I wasn't going to do it, like all the check marks were there except for my work ethic, like because I didn't have a desire to play. So like I don't even remember the question. Like the nasty streak was there, dude.
Yeah.
Like me and Jake Long would play around in game, like, and talk some dirty stuff to some opponent players and just have fun. I mean, it was just the desire. I mean, I just had to kind of like, like when you work like every day for your job, if you don't love your job, I mean, you have to, it's kind of like you're attracted. Are you attracted to it? Or you have to force yourself to do it every day?
You're right.
Right.
I always force myself to like, go to practice or, try to, just be there. But like there was moments like I was a hype, Eric Martin.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was a hype man like Eric Martin. Like I would get people fired up and get people amped up. Those were moments like that, or like maybe like playing around with Jake during the game, like moments like that, or the camaraderie with Spencer during or Jeremiah. Those are the moments that kind of just drug me to where I liked it and loved it.
Yeah.
And the brotherhood. But other than that, the game. That's why I don't even keep up with it anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool because we really haven't had anybody that has sat next to us and been like, dude, I just only played football because I was good at it. Like, that's pretty much what you're saying is like, hey, I was built perfectly for football. I did it because I was good at it, but it was like, it wasn't your passion,
Right.
which is what it sounds like.
Right.
Yeah. So that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned a little earlier you weren't sure how far back we wanted to go to your life, but so you were born and raised in Harlem, New York, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you moved to Nebraska, of all places, at the age of 13.
Yes.
So I don't know, just talk a little bit about. I mean, so in New York, were you a football player at all? I mean, how
No.
did?
No.
So that was all Nebraska.
All Nebraska.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit about coming from New York to here, maybe what brought you here initially, and what experiences were like for you in high school, coming up as a pretty highly regarded 4-star recruit out of Aurora.
Yeah. I would say it was just an interesting story. I mean, just growing up from a place of, my family, your typical like red line, like you live in a lower income community, you're probably a drug addict or, you're selling drugs, whatever the source is or whatever route you decide to take. It's not like you're working a 9-to-5 job typically. So my parents were like drug addicts. So my brother married a native Nebraskan, and they basically raised me out in New York when I was like 9, 10, 11. Now, let me just take a step back because my parents are good people. I mean, we're all good people.
Yeah,
We just take
absolutely.
wrong turns in life, right?
Yeah,
so,
Sure.
But going back to like my brother and my sister-in-law, they raised me. So when they moved out to Nebraska to take care of her family who had cancer, her dad had cancer. My brother decided to move out there with her to take care of them. So he just called me because I was living by myself with my 3 cousins in Philadelphia at that time. I was just moving around place to place.
Sure.
Kind of like a foster home in a way. And he said, hey, like, you're coming with me. I mean, he kind of gave me an option, but not really. I mean, I didn't have no choice.
Voluntold.
Like this is kind of for your own good.
Yeah,
That's how he framed it.
Yeah, basically. So from there, I mean, I go from, the East Coast out to Nebraska, and I just so happen to go and surround myself with decent people. I mean, really good people, like, family, farmers, like teachers, like in this small town that's the complete opposite politically. You're going from East Coast and you're going to a conservative place. I mean, there was just open arms, everyone waving at you in their car.
Yeah.
The old nod.
Bro, what are they doing? Like, like, you just like, I was in a culture shock, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But, as time went on, I just accepted it. And then the community just took me in. And then my size just helped me, man, with football. And then I just was so lucky to just be implemented, dude, with a good group of kids.
Yeah.
Because it could go so many ways. I think childhood development is the most important thing for kids, 100%. I just so happened to be, I was a late bloomer. 13 is when I moved, but I still had enough time to have a good impact from those kids. And that was it, man. Coach Randy Huber, who's still a mentor of mine today, he was my high school football coach.
Okay.
And he saw me when I was in 8th grade, and he's like, dude.
I've never seen one of these in Aurora, Nebraska.
Yeah. Well, you don't see a Puerto Rican at all. Like, inside. They're like, yo, what's going on? Like, so he looked at me, and he talked to my brother and my sister-in-law, and I went to camp. And then from there, it was just, the story told itself. And they invited me to a Texas Nike camp my junior year. And then that's when coaches saw me, just my size. I was like 320 pounds when I was a freshman.
Holy shit.
So it just, it caught their attention. And from there, that's where it kind of just started for me.
Well, and just selfishly, I want to give a shout out to Randy Huber because
shout outs.
I do.
We give the free shout outs.
Okay.
I do know Coach Huber. He went to Monarchs for a little bit, and he was a head coach there. So I do know him. So
he's a brilliant
guy,
he's
he's awesome. Yeah. And you had mentioned also earlier that you didn't even take any other visits.
No.
Other than Nebraska, and I'm assuming you didn't really know anything about Nebraska football when you came here initially, right?
I had an idea of it just because. So 13, I was in 6th grade when I moved, and dude, it's like the only sport in Nebraska. So like everyone is just die hard 100%. So I got the idea of it, and like at the end of my high school career, I just always followed. Like back to my story of why I was good is watching people. Like I was watching Sue so hard.
Oh yeah.
Like in everything that he did, like his footwork, like watching the games, just watching him. Because I knew that we had the same build, so I just was like kind of just competing with him in my mind. I knew what it was like then when he was playing. He was basically playing what was that championship game?
The Big 12 championship.
No, we don't talk about that,
dude.
It was
literally
Texas.
him
Yeah.
against the Texas offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just insane. It's like, and he's just still the most dominant college football player of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, so I knew what it was, but I never followed it. Like, bro, like I never like, no, I never didn't know what it was until like I went to a game on like an unofficial.
Yeah,
visit.
what
Was that your first game?
Yeah.
Then an official visit was your first game
Yeah.
at Nebraska?
No, it wasn't. But like going through the tunnel, like that was the first experience, and it was just wild to me. I was like, whoa, like, because I'm a very emotional guy, dude. If there's one thing that these guys will attest, if you have them on the podcast, is that like during like pregame, like I will get you pretty fired up, like,
Yeah.
hardcore, and just going through that tunnel, dude. I'm like, whoa,
It's heavy.
It's like, it's crazy.
They don't
It's
mess
crazy.
around here.
So you're New Jersey, not New Jersey, right? No, New Jersey, right?
Harlem. Well, I mean,
Yeah, same thing.
New York.
Philadelphia,
Yeah.
Harlem,
East Coast.
Okay, East
East
Coast
Coast.
background, right? I mean, college sports really aren't like a thing out there. Like you got pro sports everywhere you could turn to, right? So like you coming here, I'm seeing the state just revolved around college football. I mean, that had to be insane to you, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in general, you're just like, that's a good point that you bring that up, because not everyone understands. Like, there's a lot of kids that get stuck out there, dude. Like in some, not just in the East Coast, but like in some of these lower, like just these lower economic. I mean, these the red lines, man. You know what we're talking about. These communities that are struggling.
Right.
That can be. There's a solution for it. I mean, we just have to come together and find a solution for it. But there's a lot of kids that are just trapped that we don't even know their talent, dude. Like, there was a comment that, back in the day, like my brother and sister-in-law would look at the Sean Callahan, whatever the post is.
Like the Rivals?
Yeah, and that was a comment that they made. It's like, because they were talking about me from being from Harlem. It's like, how many kids aren't looked at just because they're in Harlem? They don't even know. Like, I didn't know what college was, or an NBA or an NFL team. I mean, so it's just they get stuck, dude. So it's like there's a lot of opportunity in those areas for sure.
Yeah, and you just had the unique situation to end up in small town USA, Aurora, Nebraska. I mean, but think about the raw talent out there of guys like yourself that they don't get looked at because they don't get the opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean. And then you go to Aurora, and you're probably the biggest guy there.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see it. Like you pulling into town, and
like,
these coaches are like, "What the fuck is this?"
Dude,
that'll do.
Frick.
Yeah.
When I walked in for the first time, I had long hair, and a great buddy of mine, Kyle Callingham, shout out to Kyle. He thought I was someone's mom walking in.
I'm like, mom.
Chill, that's messed up.
You're 6'6".
Yeah,
whose mom is 6'6"?
Whose Puerto Rican mom is that?
I'm like, bro, that is messed up.
Oh, you're kidding me.
My name's Andrea. So, Andrew, now that we've established that you are, in fact, not a Puerto Rican 6'6" lady mother, I wanted to kind of go back to something you said earlier about not really diving into the playbook, not really being like this dedicated like offensive lineman, right? I guess, just to put it nicely. So Nebraska just recently hired a new offensive line coach, Donovan Raiola. And so I just wanted to get your opinion on this. One of the big reasons why there's been this struggle at Nebraska is because of the offensive line play, and some people would say lack of development in that area. And so I just wanted to ask you, where does coaching come into that? Because you had John Garrison as your offensive line coach.
Right.
And so where does development come from? Like, where's the line drawn between the coach being the head of that and personal responsibility on your end? Because, coaches are the ones that are being fired and replaced, and it's like they're not developing guys.
Yes.
Well, where do you come into play? Where does Andrew Rodriguez come into play in terms of development as a player over a 4-year span?
Jared, that's a great question, dude.
I love it.
That's deep.
That is deep.
I love it.
I mean, I don't know what the line is, because I've always pondered on this. Like, just because, dude, there has to be accountability with each player individually, but each player comes from a different background, demographically,
ability-wise, obviously,
right? So there are certain like attributed like skills that are set to them personally, like their work ethic. There's so many factors that go into it. I think there has to be a straight line, like, hey, like a monitoring system maybe on the iPad. I know we watched film on the iPad. The problem with me is that I was just always fascinated in watching my teammates or myself to see if I had the best footwork, instead of watching other opponents. But there has to be some type of tracking system, because Coach Coach Cotton was a phenomenal coach. I mean, we bumped heads at first, but he's a brilliant mind.
Barney
Yeah, Barney Cotton.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant mind, and I mean, sometimes when he related, it was just too sophisticated for like me or maybe some other guys. But like that's why Coach G was there, John Garrison.
Mhm.
And John Garrison complimented him in a way to where he connected with some of the other guys. So like it worked out to where they did all they could, man. Like they were out in the coaching in film room for 16, 18 hours a day. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
So like at some point, the accountability has to be transferred over to the players, and there has to be some type of tracking system. It's like, hey, if you don't reach 100%, every day, then there has to be consequences, whether you're running after practice or something. That's my, I guess, opinion on it.
So yeah, and another question I really had for you was, you had played a few games as a true freshman, and you became a full-fledged starter in 2013, your senior year. And so I guess my question for you is, what were the adjustments that you had to make, I guess, physically, mentally, in order to become that starter at the end of your career? Like what areas did you have to get better at in order to become a full-fledged starter?
And somebody that like the coaches could trust, right?
Yeah, first it was just me not being an idiot off the field. I mean, making sure like my P's and Q's, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, going to class, not getting into drugs, not drinking alcohol. I mean, that was some of my crutch in college in the beginning. Also, along with that, I would say, man, just like it all goes back to the mental game for me. I mean, the physical attributes were not like, they never lacked. I mean, and not to be boastful in any way. That was just my blessing, my gift. I mean, I was just always there physically. Just mentally, I just never had the desire to just want to learn the X's and O's, man. I just never did, and it just hindered me. And it hindered me for sure. And if there's one regret I have, it's that, like, for sure, because I never reached my potential. And I always was proactive, or I was always reactive rather than proactive.
Mm-hmm.
So I always was like seeing what the linebackers were doing and then reacting to them. And then I'm already late. I did a decent job, but it's not like it's not a 3. 3 is like a perfect score in a blocking. Coach Cotton has this little formula, you would call it, for like your blocking. Like you get checked for what's it called? I'm like missing the word.
Inventory.
It's like a metric.
Yeah, like a metric system.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
And you get like 1 is just terrible. Oh, maybe there's a 0.
0.
You did not want to get a 0.
You didn't get any negatives or anything, did you?
Bro, I got negative.
No.
There were games where I was just like you would see guys running this way, I'm blocking the other way. I'm like,
Yeah.
And Yoshi, you guys remember Jamarcus Hardrick?
Yeah.
Yoshi Hardrick,
is my
right.
boy, left side, strong side. But he is a different character. You need to get him on the podcast.
We actually linked up with Yoshi,
Bro.
but he was in Canada or whatever.
Yeah.
So like our time zones just really don't like
right.
cross.
Isn't he a legend in
He's
Canada?
a legend
Like,
in
he has
in
to
Canadian
be,
football.
dude.
He's a dude.
He's
He has
won
to
like
be.
numerous cups, and he's
Yeah.
just an absolute legend. But yeah, we talked to him, and we just can't get on the same schedule. He's not like available when we record, and we have jobs, so like
Yeah,
we can't
yeah.
like when he was available we couldn't. But one of these times,
You will.
We're
dude.
getting him
He's
on.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
He has such a great personality too.
yes,
And he would try to help me, but he was always limited in his capabilities too. So
Wait,
it's
wait.
like-
What are you trying to say?
physically,
Yoshi.
Bro, we had the physical gifts, and thinking back, man, we had teams.
Yeah.
There's just stupid kids like me that just had hiccups along the road, and then you had 1 or 2 or 3 other guys, and then or injuries or whatever happened. But
Yeah.
for me, like it was always mental. I was always reacting. And then especially when Watson, Sean Watson, is that the
Yeah.
old offensive coordinator?
yeah,
Yeah.
So like I forget what scheme he is, like a California type of scheme, like his offensive style
You got the West Coast
or
offense.
West Coast offense.
Yeah.
Right. Like, see, I don't. I
Well,
said
you're from the East
California-
Coast. You
I
don't
said
fucking
West-
know.
Dude, I don't
I know the East Coast offense,
bro. Trying to learn that,
which is not football.
maybe that was a downfall. Trying to learn that
Yeah.
was like, whoa. So like, and especially like, yeah, it was all mental for me, dude. It was all mental. I was just reacting rather than being proactive.
Yeah, like one thing, just reading up on you before we came on the podcast, there was always the article around that was, you're the 4-star guy. You went to the Army All-American Bowl. You felt like you didn't reach your full potential, and like you had guys cheering for you. Like Garrison was like wanting you to just take this thing by the horns and wanted you to take control of this thing and start and reach your full potential. And just hearing, you talk about kind of the mental side of things, and I guess, you think of the Bo Pelini era, right? Won a lot of games. And so maybe I want to get your POV on this. When it came to the big games, did you feel like an extra, pressure to win these games for Bo, or it was always these kind of blowouts that would happen? And that's kind of what led to his firing to begin with was, you win a lot of games, but you also embarrass us on national TV. And it's like, did you ever feel that pressure as a player?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously.
Well,
80,000 fans. I mean, to a certain extent, you have to block out the noise, but there's also people that care genuinely about the state of Nebraska and the football program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, dude, like they sacrifice their time and their money, and I was looking at tickets like a couple weeks ago. Christy sent me, she's the old ticket lady at the office, and I haven't reached out in like 7-8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's like apparently, so a player gets, I don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying this.
Yeah,
A player,
I think it's known. Like you get allotted a few.
no, you just get it's like the discount that we get. You just basically don't have to pay the donation.
Oh,
Nice.
okay.
So you get
Which
them
is
at
freaking
cost.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so hold up, these people are paying the ticket price plus donation.
A lot
Yeah.
of money.
They're
I'm a season
paying
ticket
a
holder.
lot of money,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. So
Yeah.
like, you got to think of the time and the commitment that they're putting into as well. So yeah, it hurts when we're getting blown out by Wisconsin at a Big Ten. Was it a Big 10 or Big 12?
Big Ten championship. Yeah.
Big 10, 2 times, right?
2.
And I don't remember like I played in them, but I don't.
No,
remember.
just 1.
Just one.
The
2012.
championship was once, but
Yeah.
then like in Madison,
Oh,
Melvin
yeah,
Gordon
yeah.
ran wild.
Yeah,
and-
he ran for like 400 or.
It doesn't
300.
matter.
Broke a record.
There was
he
a
said it
4.
does.
There's a 4
It
in
doesn't
front.
matter.
You're still bringing it up 7 years later. It matters, bud.
Hey, that record was broken the next week.
Yeah.
So
it held
it's
for like
okay.
20
That's
years
true.
and then
Yeah.
was broke the next week.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you went through a coaching change. Now that we're kind of on this topic, you went through a coaching change.
Yeah.
Maybe from one philosophy to another with Barney to Garrison. The current Nebraska team is going through a coaching change right now from Greg Austin to Donovan Raiola. And they were talking about the shielding technique where
Right.
you drop back and let the defense come towards you. And now Donovan has more of a attack approach, we'll say, where you strike first.
No, for like
What-
run for run or for pass or for both.
Okay, so
From the side.
looking at the spring game, the run game looked decent because they were out there, they
Can't
were
tackle.
attacking, right? And then the pass pro, and this is something that I was going to ask you about as well, not to cut you off.
No,
Mike.
please do.
But like the pass pro obviously needs a lot of work. Just looking at the spring game because Garrett Nelson was just running wild.
Yeah. Do you have any
I don't
years
even
left
know.
for right
So
tackle?
Garrett Nelson is a D end.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, he plays outside backer
Outside, yeah.
in a
Is he
3-4.
playing like a 9 technique where he's like super wide and he didn't have any help, or like what was the situation?
Yeah. He's
One-on-one.
all on his own. Yeah, it's
Blowing 'em
one-on-one,
up.
and he's just blowing them up. Yeah.
Straight
Yeah.
Grant Wistrom
A
style.
4-star right tackle named Bryce Benhart
He was getting eaten.
getting eaten alive
Yeah.
by a local kid here, just lunch pail guy.
He's your Jack
Yeah,
Gangbush.
that's one thing
Yeah.
that would never happen to me, boys.
Hell
Never
yeah.
let another. Oh, might have been a few times where like, Eric Martin caught me like on a, or there's guys.
Yeah.
But no, that's one thing that you can't let happen.
Well,
Right.
look, Garrett Nelson
all.
is supposed to be
A starter.
our senior leader this year. He's
Oh,
the
a-
4-year.
he's a lineman, offensive lineman.
defense lineman.
Yeah, he is a defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, the right tackle, Bryce Benhart, he struggled like this all year last year.
Wasn't
It
Is
did-
he a sophomore then, or is he?
I think
With
he's
the
a junior.
COVID year, I think he's a junior. This will be his 3rd year starting if he does start.
And he played right tackle previously.
Yeah, and he's bigger than you. He's like 6'9", 300.
So he's like Zach Sterup than his
Huge.
build.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I haven't watched him personally.
Yeah.
But it could be a lot of factors.
Well, okay.
But I mean, yeah. So like in your opinion, like we're talking about, coming off the ball instead of just kind of letting them come at you. And
did you guys do that? Did you guys let people come to you, or did you guys fire off the ball?
It depends on the play. I mean, I can't remember. Like I said, I'm not no expert in the playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Certain screen plays. I mean, we would sit for a couple of seconds. Or,
Sure.
Yeah, that's the point.
Or rip or Liz protection, which is basically sliding left or right.
Sure.
I mean, you tend to be a little bit more aggressive because you have backside help. But like, no, I mean, it just depends on the play. Or if it's like a play action pass, I mean, you're going to be aggressive so you can fake the run.
Right.
So it just depends.
Well, I think what Mike was getting at, because I'm on the same page as you, Mike, because what we've been hearing from local media is Greg Austin was fired basically because of his philosophy with the O-line. Okay. And Scott Frost didn't like his philosophy because Greg Austin emphasized absorbing contact and not letting the guy beat you and get in between you and the quarterback.
Right.
As opposed to Donovan Raiola taking initiative and striking.
Yes.
Did you guys strike then? I'm assuming
Coach Cotton would emphasize on striking first.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. You don't want to absorb. No, he would.
Well, maybe absorb is the wrong word. That's a word I used. I don't know.
His face said it all. It didn't matter.
Like when I said absorb, you're like moist. Like when someone says moist,
dude,
like you're like.
Dude, there's a word that you guys remember Ryan Reeves?
Yes.
We're in the film room, like Coach Cotton. He used to get pissed off when Ryan had so much potential, dude. He's like 6'3", 6'4", but he was like 315, and he can get off the ball. He had great footwork. But sometimes there's certain plays where he just didn't care at all.
And you can just
Coach
tell.
Cotton, he made up a word for him. He called him ooze. He would just ooze off the ball. He just ooze. He's like, quit oozing.
You know what?
You're oozing.
Maybe Greg Austin was his coach, because that's what we've been hearing is
all the ooze.
Yeah.
all the
And lots of booze.
Yeah, you don't want to do
And
that.
I needed lots of booze when I was watching them ooze.
Oh God.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, I would say attack, dude. Like all day. You want to attack the chest. You want to.
Yeah.
What do I know?
You want to take it to him, right? Like
Yeah.
that's my. As somebody that's never coached I did coach powder puff football. I did coach.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, freshman year. But anyway, as somebody that really knows jack shit about the technicalities of football, it's it would be my.
You would think
You
want
would
to.
hands are everything.
You would
dude.
think you would want to take it to him.
Yeah.
As a technique guy, and you were
Yeah.
passionate about your footwork and your technique. Like I said, seeing your face said it all.
Besides the footwork, dude, the hand placement is my goal is to get my hands in your chest before you do mine.
Yes.
I mean, that's the number one goal. And
Yes.
with authority, you can't just
How was a game one in the trenches?
game one.
How was a game one in the
Oh,
trenches?
Yeah, aggressiveness.
Yes.
Yeah. Being like
Not waiting for them to strike me.
Yeah.
Why?
Coach Garrison always said this, like the first two steps in an offensive line, like or defensive line, whoever has the first two steps, they're gonna win.
Right.
So like it's all about being aggressive. Whoever's gonna hit first.
Well, I'm sure if we asked Coach Greg Austin, he would probably have a different story that he would tell on his own.
This is very
know?
basic.
What his
You know what I
philosophy-
mean?
Where'd he get that philosophy?
But he
from?
played at Nebraska, so I'm so confused. He played under the Callahan era.
Yeah.
But Bill Callahan's one of the best offensive line coaches of all time. You think that
he is phenomenal.
he's literally probably the best offensive line coach of all time.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me Bill Callahan taught you that? No. Nah.
Well,
No.
and we talked about this a few weeks ago. Scott Frost hired Greg Austin, had him on staff for 4 years.
Yes.
So when did you realize, they're not striking people?
In
I
year-
don't like
yeah.
this philosophy. I
in
must
year
fire
4?
him.
In year 4?
After
That
you
was
go
just
15 and 29, when maybe things aren't going the way it's supposed to go, I have to make this change. But yeah,
Yeah, that's
is that a scapegoat that the local media is using?
It does.
I don't know.
It does
I don't know.
seem very vanilla. Like the explanation that we have all received on the outside looking in is like,
It's very
oh,
convenient.
we weren't. Yeah. We weren't like taking the ball too. Like we weren't coming off the ball fast enough.
We're firing him.
I really can't.
I don't know what the philosophy really
Yeah.
was inside Memorial Stadium, but from all reports, it's like there was not like it's not what you want. So
I know there are times that I see the game, like a couple of games here and there, and they seem aggressive and sometimes not. But I would have to watch the game pretty consistently
Yeah.
to like see like what they're talking about exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I will say, and maybe we can kind of transition to the spring game and keep things, relevant to today. I was watching the offensive line a little more closely than usual, and yeah, they were striking off the ball, but it's not like it looked drastically different from before. It's like,
Well,
it's the same thing that I saw before.
Yeah.
Garrett Nelson's coming. He's tackling the guy he's not supposed to tackle. There's Garrett.
okay. So sticking on the spring game topic,
Spring game, please.
did you enjoy spring games at Nebraska?
I did. Yeah, they were
Okay.
fun. I mean, they were fun, but they were like,
Okay.
the practices were kind of like, I don't know. It was just a hit and miss, dude.
It was a show.
It was just a show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like
Yeah.
spring practice? Did you like coming off the off season, winter workouts, so they going into spring practice? Did that get you hyped at all, or?
Yeah. Again, you're asking the wrong guy.
You're
It's
like,
not
no, dude.
It's not like occasionally I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna go smack someone today, but like no, like for the most part, no.
Can I ask
This
you?
is great.
The Team Jack thing though, that was freaking. That
Oh,
was
of course.
Yeah.
of course, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Like things like that are little games that we played like during the spring game.
Mhm.
But, like,
Okay.
Have you ever heard of thud football before?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, that's what they do now in the spring game. It's
Yeah.
thud,
They don't
football?
tackle.
thud tackle.
Oh,
Yeah, the offensive line sucks because they're not attacking guys,
It's so
but we're not
different,
even
man.
allowing guys to tackle in the spring game in the first half. All right.
It's weird.
It is weird.
Like, why have a
It's-
spring game?
It was. It really
Okay.
was. That first half was pointless.
It was like
It's-
the NFL Pro Bowl. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you now, don't do that because it's a waste of your
Yeah, it
fucking
is.
time.
It is.
But yeah,
It's a long ways away from the Sean Taylor laying the dude out,
Right. The punter.
back in like 06 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I want to ask you, around the spring game, right? There's talk of the format and how people don't like the format. And people are bored by the thud tackling. Should it be a game where it's actual people hitting each other? Coaches are afraid to reveal things to their next opponent. They don't want to put anything on tape because everything is televised now.
Right.
So thinking back to your spring games, was it the same kind of level of paranoia where we can't reveal these plays to our next opponent, so we got to keep things very vanilla?
Kind of.
Was it?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not as extreme just because of social media now.
Oh yeah.
But like, I mean, for the most part, like that's when we had like those big signs that come out, when they have different like signals on them.
The four boxes with the
they try
pictures.
to trick,
you got
like,
Harry Potter and you got
A gremlin.
you got a gremlin and then a cat.
Yeah, I mean, you always have that type of sense of like paranoia, so you're going to come up with that sense of security. But no, I mean, I think it's always been like that.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I just don't see like Nick Saban like sitting in his office going, "Yeah, we better not show the other teams our playbook." Like he doesn't
honestly,
give a shit.
Not actually go through the plays then, like or like.
I think they ran the same 4 plays the entire time.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's
it was-
stupid.
yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
I guess
It
that's my
wasn't just 4. I mean,
opinion.
that's an exaggeration,
Yeah,
but
they just
if it's 4 or 5 plays, but I mean, and again, like what's the offense? I don't even know what offense. they're
well,
running,
Whipple runs a new offense. I think a lot of it was, hey, let's keep everything under wraps. But here's my thing: if Whipple's been in football as long as he has, you're telling me you can't watch a Whipple offense
You're
on
telling me-
any other tape?
You can't watch Casey Thompson and all the games he played at Texas. And
Yeah.
Northwestern's gonna be mind blown by what they see.
Yeah.
No,
Come on.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because he's a good coach.
He's a
you know.
hell of
he's
a
a
coach.
great coach.
So
Yeah.
it's not like he's gonna
Yeah,
be
you want
like
to diversify it and put if you're putting 4 plays and running with 4 plays the entire spring game.
well.
that's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
That's
you know, it's
silly.
like they're
Too
running
vanilla.
they're running zone
Run left.
right, yeah.
Run right.
Yeah,
Pass to this guy only.
trick play to get the fans excited for a second
yeah.
and distracted. Bah.
So maybe it's just like, and who knows? Are they doing it for just the repetitions of the offensive linemen to get them? I don't know what they're.
Well, and here's another thing too and this is a good question for you, obviously, but like getting reps in with the same group of guys over and over and over again, that gets you away from getting false starts and holding penalties and things like that, right? Because you guys have been through the reps and working together and how you each play together. Whereas the spring game is 15 different combinations, guys moving in, moving out. It's like
it wasn't like that when we played our spring game. It was like you had your teams, and the first half was always pretty aggressive. Like we played like a normal game. I thought anyway.
Complete opposite.
Yeah.
From this year, it was no tackling and then tackling with the people that are never going to play this year.
Right.
Yeah. That's not,
honestly
that's stupid. Because I remember like unless I'm like my memory can be like tricky, dude. But
That's
like
true.
when we played, like the only person that couldn't get tackled was the quarterback.
Right.
But we played full speed for at least the first half.
I attended your spring games, and I promise you that's how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's different now.
I will say.
And maybe it's the some of the stipulation that they have on the protocol for hitting or practice. I don't know what.
I mean, we are thin right now because of all the energy.
I think a lot of it was current injury situations. We only had 7 defensive linemen total that were healthy and available for the spring game. We had 4 tight ends total for the spring game. So they couldn't even run 2 teams.
Yeah.
They had to run offense versus defense. The defense got points if they stopped them on, 3 and out.
Yeah,
they got points
I don't
on
even know.
turnovers and forcing a punt and all that shit. So
right.
whatever.
Scott,
makes sense. Then.
Yeah.
And this is why we told them, and I want you to validate this. I've said this on the last couple episodes. Don't look in the spring game and just think you know everything, because everything's going to change between now and fall.
Spring
On a
game.
level of the 1 to 10, how worthless is the spring game?
I would say
11.
like 10 being worthless.
10 being worthless.
Oh, it's not. There's meaning to it, dude. 'Cause, like,
7.5.
I would say like 3.
You say 3?
3.
Yeah.
Okay, that's higher than I
Because
thought.
if we didn't have the spring game, dude, like I would. Because what's before the spring game? The bowl game.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't made one. We haven't made one.
We made bowl games.
You did.
Yes, you did.
Blasted, brother.
You did.
And there was times where if we wouldn't have a spring, if we didn't have something to check into, like
Right.
who knows where
Playing
I would
in
be.
front of 60, 70-ish thousand.
Yeah.
That
It was just more the accountability aspect. Like, hey, check in during springtime so that we can. I think that's important too.
I love
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we played in bowl games. Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah, you're 100% right. We haven't made a bowl game in 5 fucking years.
Yeah.
so-
I didn't play under Frost. I was
Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Dude.
He's like, I only made bowl games.
I mean, we still didn't win like a championship, which sucks. But
we don't need to
we-
rehash all
who
that.
cares?
gosh,
Who
dude,
cares?
still-
Like,
still
looking
sucks,
back,
That's
dude.
been Nebraska football for the past how many
20 years.
Yeah,
Who cares?
dude, come
Plus.
on, man. We need
Andrew,
one,
why do you bring
dude.
these things up?
Because it still eats meat. Dude, Coach Bo, have you met Coach Bo? It literally made him like physically sick to his stomach when we lost a football game, dude.
Okay. So we've asked this every time we have somebody on. Do you have any memorable Coach Bo stories? Did he ever rip you, get in your ass? I mean, obviously, all the
100%.
time.
Well, come on.
But, like, do you have
100%,
one that
brother.
sticks out more than any? Like,
Oh, I always tell one story. Dude.
okay,
Okay.
tell the
Yeah.
one story.
So like my freshman, it was like the end of my sophomore year, I believe. And I went haywire. Like I was smoking pot all the time. My life was just a mess, drinking all the time. And freaking, I had gotten an injury. It was like a Liz Frank sprain, not a fracture, a sprain.
Mhm.
And they thought it was like a career ender, but Mark, I forget Mark's last name, physical trainer over there at Nebraska.
I know Mark Phillip.
No.
Mark.
No, that
Mark,
was-
is it Mark Mayer? Maybe that's his last name. Mark. Shout out to Mark. I don't know his name, but his last name. But
We can cut that.
he's
If-
awesome.
Okay.
Awesome dude. He helped me get back, but I was at a point where I just wanted to quit because I was just doing the wrong things. I was smoking weed all the time. I was drinking. I was doing the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mark Mayer.
Mark Mayer.
Yeah.
So Mark Mayer is the physical trainer that was there after my Liz Frank sprain. He was like, well, it's not bad. We can get you going. And I was to the point where I thought they were trying to push me too much, to where I didn't feel comfortable playing on my foot. And I used that as an excuse for all the screw ups that I had throughout that process, and just transfer. I wanted to transfer. I just wanted to leave. That was the solution in my mind, just to quit. So I went to Coach Bo. I brought my coach, Randy Hubert, to the office with Coach Bo.
Dang, you went to your high school coach.
Yeah, I brought my high school coach because I was back at home for a while. I was just done. I just tapped out. I wasn't part of the team anymore.
Okay.
And then Coach Bo, we had a meeting with him right before the bowl game. I forget what bowl game it was. It was in San Diego, so whatever bowl game that was.
The Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, the Holiday Bowl.
Against Arizona, probably.
I can't remember.
That was 09.
Oh, was that 09?
Shoot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. I think it was San Diego, I believe. But anyway, we meet, and I brought my brother with, and we're sitting down, and this is where the Bo moment comes in. I said, Coach, I'm transferring. I'm leaving. I'm transferring. Don't have the best relationship with Coach Cotton at the time. Doing all the stuff that whatever, the pot, the drinking, just not fully committed to the team. So I just wanted to quit. But I didn't tell him that. I just said, Coach, I'm transferring. And he said, he just looked at me for like 3-4 seconds. And he just said, excuse my language, but he just says, that'll be the worst fucking mistake of your life. He said, do you want to work at a gas station for the rest of your life? That's what he said.
Oh, no.
And we just kind of, my brother, Coach Huber, we just kind of looked at him, and he calmed down a little bit. But the point that he was trying to make, it's like, hey, do you want to quit? Like, and then he just said, like, let me just coach you. I'll be there for you. We're going to get, Coach G's going to chime in a little bit. He's going to help out. Just to relieve some pressure off of Cotton. Maybe that'll help. And
that was kind of your boy, right? Garrison.
Yeah, that was my boy.
Right.
And Coach Cotton actually ended up becoming my boy. I mean, he's a good man. I mean, I just wasn't developed. I wasn't like a Rex Burkhead, dude. Rex came in and he
was a pro from day one.
Ready.
Juking people
Day
out.
one, dude.
Freshman. Anyway.
Plano, Texas, baby. Come on
His
now.
mindset was just different. But yeah, I just like, I forget where we're going. We just went off a tangent.
Well, you're going to work at a gas station until.
Yeah. That was a Bo moment. Like, hey, like, you're going to work at a gas. Do you want to work at a gas station for the rest of your life? And it was not like a typical. I remember him throwing a chair and him hitting Keith Williams, who was an offensive line like my freshman year, during a halftime because he was so pissed off. It wasn't like that Bo moment.
Yeah.
But it was a Bo moment like. It was a more genuine Bo.
Like a father figure
like a
moment.
Father figure Bo. Like, hey, dude, like, come on, man. Like, just finish what you started.
Yeah.
I mean, and it was a turning moment for me. It's like, oh, this is where his passion comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and something that, as fans, we saw Bo screaming on the sidelines, waving his hat at referees and,
Right.
This like maniac, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like every person that we have had on this podcast that has played under Bo Pelini, they have all said the exact same thing, is that they would run through a wall for Bo Pelini and they love Bo Pelini.
Yeah.
And you guys see a different side of Bo. It's, us versus the world. And it's, it's like, it's a more like you said, like a father figure relationship rather than what we see from the stands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And no one really knows it's like a household. I mean, you don't know what's behind the closed doors.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like with Bo, it's like, yeah, he's yelling at us, but he's like our dad. He would rather yell at us than make us just do whatever we want, and then we look like idiots in front of 80,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather have him yell at me than the latter, So.
Well, who was it that said that? Like, he's like, so Bo would fucking rip us. Because we'd go over the same thing.
I think it was Josh.
Was it Josh?
Yeah.
And then, of course, after you do the same thing over and over again, and then you make the mistake on the one thing that
Josh Mitchell, right?
Yeah, it was Josh. Yeah, shout out to Josh Mitchell because
shout out.
Yeah, Josh Mitchell said the same thing. But any guy that, just like Kyle said, any guy that we've had lots of Bo guys on here. They talk about how much of a player's coach he was.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, you just reiterate the same point. And that's the thing is, like, we've said this, off air, maybe even on air. It's like hindsight's 2020. It's like, we had Bo Pelini. We lost some games that maybe we probably should have played better in, or maybe should have won.
Right.
But now you look at where we're at now with Nebraska football and the program of 15-29 and going, and then the Mike Riley era and everything else. It's like, man, don't you wish we could just say that we could guarantee to win 9 games every year?
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't you wish to have that? That's me. And there's going to be people listening right now that are like, no,
Bo was an embarrassment. He was a stain.
Yeah, all that shit.
How many years did he coach?
8
years?
9, I thought,
8
right?
or 9.
So how long did it take for Coach Osborne to win his first championship by himself?
It was like 22
It was a
years
lot.
or
It
something
was a
like
lot
that.
of years.
Long time.
So, dude, like
Yeah.
we were so close. There was a couple years. dude.
Everybody says that. Everybody that played for
Frost
Bo
is so close.
talked about how close
I'm
you guys were.
telling you, like
Yeah,
my
I know.
senior year, I just remember it, and I just look at I just think. You think of the kids that play like Spencer Long, like Jeremiah Searles, like Brent Qualley. He's still in the NFL.
Yeah.
Nunwa.
Anunwa,
you-
like Taylor Martinez.
It goes
like,
on.
It goes on and on, and it just
Burkett.
we were injury plagued.
Randy
I mean,
Gregory.
after the
Levante.
I think it was a UCLA game my senior year when
Prince.
Spencer Long tore his basically his whole knee.
Mhm.
I mean, things happen, but like Coach Bo had the culture. It was right there.
Yeah.
It was
Everything
right
was
there,
set.
dude. It was set up.
Yeah.
and it just sucks.
Okay.
We can't unfire Bo, so we
No.
shouldn't keep.
Well, we
Yeah,
can't.
we won't
And
beat a
it's
dead
making
horse.
me very
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift to things. We've been on here for 55 minutes. Let's shift to what is Andrew doing now. Let's talk about after football. Let's talk about what you're doing now. Tell us about what you've done since you left Nebraska
Yeah.
to present day.
Yeah. So after I got done with college, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I got ran through I majored in ethnic studies, dude. Like, what the hell are you gonna do with the next ethnic studies degree?
I think Kenny Bell did as well.
or it was history and then minor in ethics. I can't remember, but it's pointless. Is the point that now history is very important. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that I love talking about history and bringing up the conversation or politics or whatever avenue you want to go down. That probably not in this day and age.
No,
You
not
planted
on
that
this-
seed. You planted that
Yeah,
seed
plant
before the
seed,
episode.
baby.
Not on this podcast.
Yeah, not on this podcast. But as far as I didn't know what to do. So like my brother is a contractor for FedEx, and he owns they basically pay him, and he has his trucks and his employees, and they deliver. So that's what I did for a couple years, and then decided to go on a mission trip for church because I'm LDS.
Okay.
And then I did that, and I quit because I was just following a girl, just going back to the trends, right, of college. Like quit. And then I started a gym with a buddy. I went bankrupt. So that was 24 years old. Same trend. So it was just me trying to figure out life. And going back to the conversation of football, it's well, what am I passionate about, man? And it's I'm still trying to figure out that question, but I'm just doing whatever I can along the way. Right now, dude, I sell solar panels. I sell corn and soybeans to farmers. I sell insurance, but sometimes I catch myself doing one more than the other. And some of these guys, like my managers, Matt Dolch was my manager for NK, or Rod Whitney. He's a great guy. My manager for AgriGold is the company I work for now.
Mm-hmm.
They say the same thing that a Coach Cotton says to me, dude, if you're fully committed to just this
Yeah.
and nothing else, you would absolutely murder it.
Yeah.
I get that. So right now I'm just in the process of finding myself, and throughout that process, whether it's, flipping a house with my buddies and I own a rental property business, whether it's, working with kids or connecting with Brandon Kinney. I texted him a couple weeks ago. I'm I'm ready. I want to start a nonprofit for kids. Because there's a big, I think there's a big demand for just mental health clarity.
Yeah.
I mean, just having a sound mind during the pandemic, dude. Think how many kids have struggled.
Dude,
Yeah, dude.
the
Taking them out of
repercussions,
school.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
The repercussions of that are just
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. So I connected with Doug Kittle. He's my high school coach or high school principal, rather. And they kicked off something with Emily Hegg, who's the counselor there, along with Aiden Brophy, who's an FBLA kid there, young kid. And I was one of the speakers with my business partner. And we're thinking about kicking this off statewide, and calling it Steps and Stages, because we're all going through something in life.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I feel like we have to be vulnerable, and not be afraid to open up about our stories because it's important. So in that, we have a keynote speaker, and then you just break up into 4 different workshops, 45-minute long. And we have the power of adversity. You know, like what did I go through in my life? You know, like the ACT score.
Yeah.
You know, getting into high school, or the transition to college when I reverted back to like my hood ways of when I was younger. You know, because I met, you know, buddies that were, you know, from the hood or whatever it was, or, you know, like my bankruptcy, or, you know, a divorce, or whatever it is, you know, like have these kids open up,
Mm-hmm.
and then just have maybe the power of community, or the power of habit, and then just build from there. So that's my plan. That's what I'm working on. And there's a lot of things. There's too many things. So
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I mean, sitting here across the table from you, and we're having these conversations, and you have opened up quite a bit about your, you know, your past and you know, like everything, you know, in your personal life. And I was just sitting here thinking to myself, like, dude, this sounds like we're having a conversation with like BK, or, you know, we're having
yeah.
like, you fit that mold so perfectly
That's
to
great.
to help kids or help other people. And I
Absolutely.
think, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. It just takes one too. I mean, if you take care of one kid and save him from a couple of the trials and
Yes.
tribulations you went through, it pays it for itself.
100%.
One kid.
Yep.
But imagine you doing that on a bigger scale, the whole state of
100%.
Nebraska.
Mhm.
Like
100%.
I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well,
Yeah, BK, Abdul Muhammad,
Yeah.
Yeah.
PJ we had on.
yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
we've had
Yeah,
we've
we've
had
had
so
dudes
many
who-
guys that are trying
Yeah.
to just like help the next generation.
That's all it's about. dude.
Yes.
Because they know, they understand, and they have a little bit different perspective because they've been through. I don't want to be cliche and like call it a system, but man, it definitely is a system. Especially, and I talked to Brandon Kinney about this, and this might be a little touchy for a lot of people, but you know, like there was a moment in time when I went through college. I can't speak for anyone else, but it's like, you know, I'm just glad that my brother is an entrepreneur that he is, you know, because I don't know, like, you know, they put in place things to help you out, but sometimes I just felt like I was on an island. And I'm
Mhm.
sure I'm not the only kid that felt like that getting out of college. So, I mean, there's things that just need to be touched up a little bit. It always goes back to your question, Jared, is like, where's the line drawn as far as the accountability from the kid individually and from the academic advisors?
I love that.
Because there has to be, like, if I don't want to get out of bed, then yeah, I shouldn't have a job, right? So like that's where we have to find it's missing. I mean, there's a gap there that has to be filled for sure.
Yeah. And who's gonna fuel them? You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's gonna light the
Yeah,
be the
you gotta-
kick in their pants?
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. All right. Well, Andrew, did you want to like share any social media stuff before we sign off? Where can people
No,
follow you
brother.
if you want them to follow you?
No, bro, I'm just pretty straightforward. I mean,
Okay.
A-Rod 6378 on Instagram, but other than that, like, yeah, just stay tuned for this nonprofit. It's going to be kicked off like in 2023 is our goal.
Okay.
And it's called Give to Grow as a nonprofit. Sound Mind. It's all like it's based off of just pondering and meditation. I call it prayer, but so it's a long process of getting this whole thing figured out. But it will be kicked off soon. Just be focused and look forward to that too. So
Sweet.
Well, I mean, once again, and I said this before, but the University of Nebraska and the fans were lucky to have you as a football player, but in all, the state is lucky to have you just to be in the state of Nebraska, doing what you're doing, you know, these big visions and things like that you have, man. It's so awesome to hear, and all the other stories that we've heard in this podcast. So No Block, No Rock is lucky to have you as well, and we can't thank you enough.
thanks, brother. I appreciate you guys. Awesome.
Thank
It's
you.
an awesome thing that you guys are doing too. It's pretty sweet.
Thank you, sir, for joining the No Block No Rock
Let's
podcast.
go.
Hey.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.